This is part 2 to No Safe Harbor by Julie Lawson. Wednesday, October 3rd. A letter from Luke, written August 24th. He says he's fine and not to worry, but it's grim. This letter, the way he describes the open stretch of ground called No Man's Land, and the mud and shell holes, and the smell of dead bodies, where a line of Huns on one side face a line of Allies on the other, all of them stuck in their trenches until the order goes out, "Over the top!" and the killing begins. The letter says he's just finished a tour of trench duty, so he's safe for now, behind the lines. 3 or 4 days on the front lines might not sound long, he tells us, but every minute it feels like an year, with earth-shaking bombardments and fireworks night after night, and no picnic when it's raining, which is most of the time, and the place is overrun with giant rats. He has to do chores too, horrible chores, like digging lantries or draining a trench with the mud to his knees. Sometimes the front lines are so close you can hear a Hun sneeze. That's what Luke says, but I think he's joking. Luke with a sense of humor. Mom gave me the letter so I made a copy of it into my diary. The next parcel you send, could you tuck in a box of sleep? A good 40 winks would be a luxury. It's not the fireworks that keep us awake. It's the itching caused by the blast of lice. More than anything, keep sending your prayers. I wish I could send him a box of sleep. Showers all day and a cold wind. Milk run this morning. Haggerty said that Princess Puppy should be born sometime this week. Eva came over after school with her knitting. I told her that Luke had written about No Man's Land and how you could hear a Hun sneeze. I said Hun without thinking and right away felt bad because Eva's dad was German. Eva didn't mind. She said it was a good thing her dad came to Canada because otherwise he might have been one of the soldiers that Luke heard sneezing, except that he was too old to go to the war. And now that he was a Canadian, he'd be fighting on our side. While we were knitting, we made up limericks like we did last year, only this time we only had time for one. There was a young girl named Beryl. She sang while eating her cereal, but alas she choked on a very high note, and that was the end of her poor Merle. Eva thought most of it. We gave up on her own name because we couldn't think of anything that rhymes with Eva. Almost forgot. Last night I had a terrible dream about No Man's Land. The "over the top" cry went out, and I leapt out of the trench and charged across the muddy ground, trying not to get hit. Then I saw that I hadn't put on my boots or my helmet, and I'd forgot my rifle and bayonet. I had to turn back, but I couldn't move. The mud was sucking me down. I was thinking, Mom will be furious when she sees my clean dress covered with mud. I'd only put it on that morning when I was relieved to wake up. Girls can't be soldiers. I've never even seen No Man's Land or a trench, so why would I have such a horrible dream? Worrying about Luke, I suppose. There were birds in the dream. I wonder where the birds go during a battle. Where do they build their nests when all the trees have been blasted away? What happens to the little animals like squirrels and rabbits? Friday, October 5th. Mr. Barker yelled at me because I lost my place in reading. My own fault. I was trying to find a word that rhymes with Eva. Came up with fever. I told the girls in special projects, and they all said, that doesn't rhyme. But ha, and then because it does rhyme when you pronounce it the British way. So we made, it, like Mr. Barker said, but quietly. So we made up this limerick. There once was a girl named Eva who came down with a terrible fever. She turned bright red from her toes to her head, but got cured by a vast flow of vinegar. Mira wanted us to change her limerick so she could be cured at the end like Eva. Gosh, it's only a silly rhyme, but we told her we'd try. We were going to make up some more after school, but I had to go to my piano lesson. Miss Temple rapped my knuckles with her ruler because I kept making the same mistake on my scales. I must have been scowling when I went outside because the student who goes after me said, "Cheer up, Charlotte. It'll be better next week." I'm too shy to ask her name because she's much older than I am, around Edith's age. She's awful nice, especially the way she brings a treat for Christy every week. No wonder Christy likes going to piano lessons. Saturday, October 6th. Went to the matinee at the Casco Theater and saw a spectacular motion picture called Jonah the Woman. It was a birthday treat from Edith. I love being 12. I never thought we'd be so spoiled. The picture is about Jonah of the Ark. It's told in the form of a dream. There's a French soldier in the trench who's been asked to give his life for the good of the army. He's trying to decide what to do when he Suddenly he uncovers an ancient sword. The moment he takes hold of the sword, he has a vision of Jonah of the Ark and the ancient battle in France, and he sees how she died for her country. So he follows her example and does the same. It's heroic, but sad. Duncan's favorite part was the Battle of the Towers, where British were besieged by the French. Soldiers were falling off the walls of the fortress into the moat, and their bodies were bristling with arrows. I liked everything except for the part where Jonah was burned by the stake. I had to close my eyes. Edith's favorite part was the romance between Jonah and her British bee. When we teased her on the way home and asked if romance made her think of the Winnipeg soldiers we met last week, her face turned so red, I'm sure the answer was yes. I wonder what makes things change. Hundreds of years ago, the British and French were mortal enemies. Now they're fighting on the same side, and Germany is their mortal enemy. Of course, it's all the Kaiser's fault, but it's hard to understand, especially when our King George and the Kaiser are related. Cousins, I think. Sunday, October 7th. Thanksgiving Sunday in St. Mark's was beautiful. Cornucopias and baskets spilling out with squash, gourds, apples, pumpkins, corn stalks, sheaves of wheat and flowers, and everything red, yellow, and orange. We sang my favorite hymn, and it's still singing inside my head. Come ye thankful people, come rise, the song of harvest home. It's all safely gathered in, or the winter storms begin. I love those two lines, even though I don't understand the harvest home part. That says don't have to understand every bit of a song or poem. The important thing is how it makes you feel. Well, today, all the hymns made me feel thankful, especially that one. Roast goose for dinner, and this time it was Dad urging me to have more. Let's fatten you up, he says. I obliged by having 2 helpings of Mom's pumpkin pie. Monday, October 8th, Thanksgiving Day and a holiday. Duncan and Dad went hunting, wrote a letter to Luke, ran up to Fort Needham with Chrissy, raced around the top of the hill, then over to Haggerty's farm. No puppies yet. Tea and gossip with Mrs. Haggerty. Practiced piano and played duets with Edith. She asked if I'd like to be a sonographer one day, since I had such nimble fingers. I told her I might, but only if I worked in the same office as her, and then we could play duets on our typewriter. Weather clear and cool. Tuesday, October 9th. Dearie was away today. Last month, her brother was wounded and lost an arm. He was going to be shipped home to recover, but Dearie's family found out yesterday he died in the hospital in England. He was 18. Every weekend, the newspaper prints a casualty list. We always recognize some of the names, especially Mom and Dad. They may not know the boy himself, but they usually know his parents or brother or sister or someone related from work, church, or around the neighborhood. Casualty list is so long, but there are lots of categories. Infantry, artillery, wounded severe, wounded slightly, died of wounds, reported wounded, gas poisoning, severe, gassed and wounded, killed, missing, killed in action. Duncan never looks at the casualty list. He says I shouldn't either because it only makes me worry. But now that I've written down the words, I feel as if I'm trapping bad luck on the page and keeping it away from Luke. That's because sometimes when you imagine the worst, it doesn't happen. I'm right sad for Dearie. 3 weeks till Halloween. Duncan and I are dressing up as each other. We look enough alike, and we are about the same height. Duncan's not as scrawny as me, so I'll tuck extra newspaper under my coat so no one will know the difference. I'm going to wear Duncan's brown pants, long black stockings, and brown tweed coat. He's going to wear my plaid coat, blue serrated skirt that's still too big for me. Ruth's daring him to wear her pink corset. Duncan is in a girl's corset? Never. Etta says she'll pin up my hair and tuck it under Duncan's cap. Thursday, October 11th. Princess had 5 puppies on Thursday night. Haggerty says they're the spitting image of Christy when she was a pup. Can't wait to see him. I'll take Christy so she can see her mother and her new brothers and sisters. School uneventful, except for Brian got the scrape for fidgeting again. Came home, practiced my skills over and over until everyone begged me to stop. If my knuckles get rat tomorrow, it won't be my fault. A special project today, I took my knitting as usual. Everything was fine until I felt a tug and couldn't pull any more wool. I thought there was a tangle or something. When I reached into my basket, the ball of wool wasn't there, so I turned around, and wouldn't you know, there was Carl with a big, guilty grin. He'd taken the wool from my basket and tied it to his desk. I gave him a right good scowl. I was mad. I almost caught up to Merle in the first place of our Balco contest. If it wasn't for Carl, I might have out-knitted her today. At supper, Edith said that Carl must be sweet on me to go all that trouble to get my attention. I pulled a face and groaned, but secretly I was pleased, until Ruth witnessed both things. Carl, sweet on Charlotte? He must be a blind fool, or a stupid bag of hammers. Luke, when you're reading this, here's a secret you can read. I hate Ruth. I never say it out loud, but it's true. Even though she's my sister, Mom knows we don't get along. She says we'll grow out of it and one day we'll be the best friends. Ruth and me, friends? Never. Because as much as I hate her, she hates me more. There's proof. When I was little, Ruth told me that Mom didn't want me. She was right thrilled when Duncan was born, Ruth said to me. But when you came along, Mom cried, "Oh no, not another one." Duncan says Ruth's only making it up. But I see how Mom favors her. I think it must be true. Then there's a story Mom loves to tell. Remember, Luke? When Ruth saw Duncan and me for the first time, she said, "Can we keep this one and send the other one back?" Everyone laughs when Mom tells the story, but I don't think it's funny. Even though Mom says she won't send me back for all the world. Where is back? Where was I before I was born? Was it a place like heaven? Can you go back to after you die? Luke, if you're still reading this, remember when Ruth almost drowned me? She said it was an accident, that I split underwater in the bath when she was supposed to be watching me. If you hadn't come in just the right moment, who knows? That got me thinking about that. Oh, what Ruth said about Carl. Here's another secret. I am sweet on Carl. What can I do to get his attention? I love writing in my diary. Maybe feelings are stronger and more honest when you put them on a page. It's better than having them run around and loose in your head. One more thing about today. I played my scales perfectly. Miss Temple was pleased. And when I played my pieces, she said I was following in Edith's footsteps. A rare compliment. The same friendly girl was there today, and I told her she was right. My lesson was better this week, even for Christy, because today she got 2 treats. This was part 2 of No Safe Harbor, the Halifax Explosion Diary of Charlotte Blackburn, Halifax, Nova Scotia, 1917. Thank you for watching, for listening.